The night on Outpost 7 was calm, almost too calm. Captain Rylan had finished his long shift and was ready to rest. The screens around him glowed with soft blue light, showing nothing unusual. No danger, no alerts. Only the quiet wind outside moving over the dry alien ground. Rylan liked this silence. After years of fighting in human wars, this lonely outpost felt like a safe place. A place where nothing surprising ever happened. But that calm broke in a single moment. The station doors slid open with a sharp hiss. Rylan looked up, confused. No one was scheduled to come in tonight. He reached for his sidearm out of habit, but stopped when he saw the small figure standing in the doorway. It was a young alien girl. Her skin was pale blue, covered in dust. Her clothes were torn. Her hands shook as she held onto the doorframe. Her large black eyes were full of tears. She looked terrified, like she had been running for her life. Rylan stood quickly. "Hey, are you hurt?" The girl tried to speak, but her voice cracked. She took a step forward, then another, and finally whispered, "Sir, my mom never returned home." Rylan felt a sharp pull in his chest. The fear in her voice was real. The kind of fear no child should ever carry. He stepped closer, lowering his tone. "It's okay. You're safe now. Tell me what happened." The girl wiped her eyes, but more tears came. She went to look for supplies near the forest. She always comes back before night. But today, she didn't come home. I waited and waited. Then I heard strange sounds. Strange sounds? Rylan repeated gently. She nodded fast. Voices, but not from my people. And shadows. Big shadows moving near our home. I got scared and ran. Rylan felt a cold feeling spread across his body. The outpost scanners had shown nothing all day. Nothing should be out there. Nothing dangerous, at least. But this girl had not run through miles of empty land by accident. Something had chased her, or scared her enough to flee in the night. Rylan guided her to a chair. "What's your name?" "Lyra," she whispered. "All right, Lara. I'm Captain Rylan. I promise you I will help." As he spoke, the station lights flickered for a moment. Rylan frowned and checked the monitor. The communication lines showed a small error icon signal instability. That should not happen. The systems here were simple and strong. They did not fail without a reason. He opened the external sensors. At first, everything looked normal. But then a strange pattern appeared on the lower screen. Energy spikes coming from the direction of Lyra's village. Rylan leaned closer. This can't be right. The spikes were small but unnatural. Not animal movement. Not weather. Something else. Something he didn't recognize. Lyra hugged her knees, watching him with worried eyes. "Sir, please don't say it's bad." Rylan tried to keep his voice calm. "It just means something unusual happened. But we'll figure it out." Suddenly, the station lights flickered again, this time stronger. The screens glitched with static, and the communication line dropped completely. Rylan's heart beat faster. What the hell? Lyra looked around, frightened. "This is what I saw at the village. The lights, they broke. The shadows moved when the lights broke. The temperature inside the station seemed to drop. A slow, deep rumble came from outside, so soft it was almost impossible to notice. But Rylan heard it. A vibration. A machine sound. Faint, but real. He grabbed his scanner and checked the readings. The results made him freeze. Large footprints appeared on the motion sensors outside the station. But they were not human footprints. They were not alien footprints either. They were something new. Something wrong. Rylan stood tall and took a deep breath. He had seen many strange things in his years, but this felt different. This felt like the start of something dangerous. He turned to Lyra. I'm going to your village. I need to see what happened. But I won't leave you alone. You're coming with me. Stay close to me at all times." Lyra shook her head quickly, fear rising again. "No, please. Don't go there. They might still be there." "Who?" Rylan asked. She swallowed hard. "The shadows." Rylan placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "I won't let anything hurt you. Humans protect those who need help. That's what we do." He opened the weapon locker and handed Lyra a small emergency light. "Stay behind me. And if anything happens, you shine this light and scream. Understand?" She nodded, though her knees trembled. They stepped outside into the cold night. The ground was still and the sky dark purple. But the quiet felt wrong, heavy, like the planet itself was holding its breath. Rylan knelt beside a set of fresh footprints in the dirt. Deep, heavy, mechanical looking. "Not from any known creature," Lyra whispered. "Sir, those were near my home. I saw them." Rylan touched the print gently. The edges were worn recent. Something had walked here moments ago. He stood up slowly, keeping his voice steady. "Stay close, Lyra. Something is out here with us." And in the far distance, hidden behind the darkness, a glowing blue eye opened. Watching them. Waiting. The night air felt colder as Captain Rylan and Lyra walked away from the safety of the outpost. Behind them, the metal doors closed with a heavy thud, cutting off the warm light inside. Ahead of them stretched the dark, silent land that led toward Lyra's village, a place that now felt more like a warning than a home. Rylan kept one hand on his weapon, and the other holding a small scanning device. The screen flickered with readings he did not like. Strange energy traces floated across the display weak, unstable, but definitely present. Something artificial had moved through this area. Lyra walked close to him, gripping her small emergency light. Her eyes darted around at every sound. Even the soft wind made her jump. "Captain, are you sure we will be safe?" she asked quietly. Rylan looked down at her and tried to offer a steady smile. "Nothing is safe until we understand it. But I promise I will protect you." She nodded, though her fear stayed written across her face. They continued walking. The ground became uneven, covered in strange metallic dust. Rylan knelt beside it and rubbed some between his fingers. It felt like ash, but heavier. It sparkled faintly in the dark. "What is that?" Lyra whispered. "I'm not sure," Rylan replied. "But it's not natural. Not from this planet." Lyra's breathing grew quick. "The shadows, they left things like that behind." "Shadows don't leave metal," Rylan said. "Machines do." That thought hung in the air. Machines, but none were supposed to exist out here. Not for many years. Not after the old war ended. Rylan's mind filled with questions, but he kept them silent. Panicking the girl would not help. They walked deeper into the forest area near her village. The trees here were tall and thin, glowing with soft purple veins beneath the bark. Normally, the forest was peaceful. Tonight, it felt alive in a different way. Every leaf seemed to whisper. Every shadow seemed to move. Then Lyra stopped suddenly. "Captain, look." She pointed at a tree ahead. It was scorched black burn marks running down the trunk. Rylan examined it carefully, scanning it with his device. The results came back quickly, and Rylan froze. "Laser damage," he said. "High precision." "High heat. Is that bad?" Lyra asked. "Very bad," Rylan answered. "Someone or something has weapons stronger than anything your villagers carry." Lyra wrapped her arms around herself. "My mother would never walk near something dangerous. She is careful. She knows the land." Rylan stood slowly. Then something came to her. He could see Lyra's eyes fill with fear again, but there was also something else, hope. Hope that her mother was still alive. hope that they were getting closer. Rylan tapped his screen. We're picking up more traces. Energy signatures are growing stronger. Stay right behind me. They followed the trail. The deeper they went, the more signs they found. Metal fragments caught in branches, crushed plants that looked stepped on by something heavy, and strange claw-like scratches on the ground. But no blood. No body. That was the only good sign. Suddenly, a loud metallic sound echoed from the right. Lyra jumped and clung to Rylan's arm. What was that? She whispered. Rylan didn't answer. He raised his weapon and moved toward the noise, every sense alert. The air felt sharp, electric, almost painful in his lungs. They reached a small clearing. Rylan motioned for Lyra to stay behind him as he knelt to the ground. Their fresh footprints. The same strange mechanical shapes he saw earlier. But these ones were deeper, more rushed. Whoever left them had been moving fast. And next to them, a small piece of cloth. Rylan picked it up. It was torn, burnt at the edges, but it looked like part of a clothing piece Lyra's people wore. Lyra gasped. That's my mother's colors. Rylan placed a hand on her shoulder. This means she was here recently, maybe minutes ago. She might be alive. Lyra closed her eyes, holding on to hope like a lifeline. But before they could move, the forest around them shifted. A low humming sound vibrated through the ground. The purple trees flickered with dull light. Something was waking up. Rylan pulled Lyra behind a fallen log. Stay low. The humming grew louder. Something heavy was walking nearby. Rylan peered carefully through the leaves. A machine moved through the forest. Tall, spider-like legs. A glowing blue scanner eye sweeping the ground. Armor covered in old battle marks. It looked like a war machine from the forgotten conflict, something that should have been destroyed decades ago. Lyra covered her mouth to stop her scream. The machine paused. It scanned the ground. It scanned the trees. Then its blue eye turned red. Target found. Rylan's heart slammed in his chest. Had it seen them? The machine lifted one leg, stabbing it into the ground. The impact sent a shockwave through the forest. Birds scattered. Leaves shook loose. Rylan held Lyra close. Don't move. The machine turned slowly, then continued walking past them. After a long, tense silence, Rylan let out a breath. That was a scout unit. If there is a scout, there are more. And they're organized. He stood and gripped his weapon tighter. Captain, Lyra whispered, voice shaking. If they took my mother, where would they take her? Rylan stared into the dark forest. To wherever they came from, he said. And we're going to find it. He didn't say the last part out loud. Before the machines come for us too. Captain Rylan and Lyra moved deeper into the forest, their steps slow and careful. The air felt heavier now, almost thick, like the planet itself was warning them to turn back. But Rylan kept going. He had made a promise, and humans did not break promises. Lyra walked close beside him, her small hands holding the emergency light tightly. Her eyes kept moving, watching every shadow. Every sound in the forest felt louder than before: the wind, the leaves, even their own footsteps. She whispered, I don't like this place. It feels wrong. Rylan nodded. I feel it too. Stay close. The scanner in his hand beeped softly, showing stronger energy signals ahead. Traces of machines. Traces of conflict. And maybe traces of Lyra's mother. They reached the edge of the forest and stepped into a clearing. Before them lay the remains of a small alien village. Broken huts. Burnt ground. Tools scattered everywhere. It looked like people had left in a hurry. Lyra gasped and ran forward a few steps. This is my home. Rylan quickly grabbed her arm to stop her. Wait. Don't run. We don't know what's here? She trembled, trying not to cry. It wasn't like this morning. Rylan raised his scanner. The readings were too strong. Machines had been here recently. Some were even still nearby. He saw scorch marks on the ground, metal fragments, and deep footprints made by heavy mechanical legs. It wasn't just one machine. It was many. What happened here? Lyra whispered. Rylan didn't answer. He didn't want to scare her more. He moved forward slowly, checking each corner, each shadow. The village was silent, but not empty. He could feel it. Something had been left behind. Then a soft mechanical sound echoed. Click, click, whir. Lyra grabbed Rylan's hand. Captain. That sound. Rylan raised his weapon and scanned the rooftops. The sound came again, sharper this time. WHIRR-click. Something moved behind the large storage hut. Stay behind me, Rylan ordered. He stepped forward carefully, keeping his weapon ready. Then it appeared. A tall metal drone stepped out from behind the hut, its blue eye glowing like a cold flame. Its legs were sharp and thin, built for speed. The body was covered in old battle armor, scratched and worn. It was a machine made for war, and it looked very much awake. Lyra gasped. That's one of the shadows. The drone turned its eye toward them. A thin red beam scanned across the air, landing on Lara. Target identified. The drone's voice was metallic and broken. Non-human life form detected. Designation: capture. Rylan reacted instantly. Get behind the wall, he shouted. Lyra ran as the drone charged forward with a high-pitched scream. Rylan fired first. The energy blast hit the drone's side and made it stumble, but not fall. The machine turned toward him now. Human detected, it said. Designation: threat. It fired a beam of light that scorched the ground near Rylan's feet. Rylan jumped aside, rolled, and fired again, aiming for the joints in its legs. This time, the machine jerked violently and fell to one knee. It continued scanning, red eye shaking. Lyra peeked from behind a rock. Captain, be careful. I'm fine, Rylan shouted back. The drone tried to rise, but Rylan charged forward and smashed the butt of his weapon into its scanner eye. Sparks flew out. The machine struggled, limbs twitching. Rylan fired one last shot into its core. The drone collapsed, smoke rising from its broken frame. Lyra ran to him. You did it. You stopped it. Rylan shook his head. This was just one unit. A scout. There will be more. He knelt beside the broken machine, scanning its parts. The readings confirmed a terrible truth. It belonged to an old war program humans once used. A program that should have been destroyed decades ago. Why is it here? Rylan whispered. How did it wake up? Before he could think more, the scanner beeped loudly. Multiple signals, strong signals, coming fast. Rylan's blood ran cold. Captain? Lyra asked softly. He looked at her with calm eyes, but his voice was serious. We have to move, now. From the other side of the village, a loud metallic roar echoed. Then another. Trees shook. Ground vibrated. Blue lights blinked through the shadows. Dozens of machines were approaching. Lyra's voice cracked. My mother. Is she with them? Rylan grabbed her hand. If she is alive, they took her somewhere. He pointed toward the old underground tunnels beneath the village. A place the villagers rarely used. That's where we go. The machines didn't just attack. They came from below. Lyra nodded, wiping her tears. If my mother is down there, we must find her. Rylan looked at the army of machines approaching, their glowing eyes lighting up the dark. You're right, he said. Humans don't run from danger. We run toward the people who need us. He pulled Lyra close and sprinted toward the entrance of the tunnels as the machines roared behind them. The hunt had begun. Entrance to the underground tunnels was dark and cold. Old stone steps led downward into shadows that seemed endless. Rylan guided Lyra inside quickly, the sound of metal footsteps growing louder behind them. The machines were too close. As they moved deeper, the tunnel walls narrowed, and the air grew colder. Strange symbols glowed on the walls, marks left by Lyra's people generations ago. The tunnels had once been used for safety, but tonight they felt like a trap. Lyra held tightly onto Rylan's sleeve. "Captain, do you really think my mother is down here?" Rylan kept his scanner in front of him. The readings were sharp and strong. "Yes, these signals lead underground. The machines brought someone here, and they didn't bring a body. They brought a prisoner." Lyra's eyes filled with hope. "So she is alive?" Rylan nodded. "I believe so." They reached a large chamber, wide, silent, lit by weak blue crystals in the ceiling. But what caught Rylan's eye were the metal cages standing in the center. Energy fields flickered around them, trapping several alien villagers inside. Lyra gasped. "My people!" Rylan quickly ran to the cages. Inside one cage, a weak voice whispered, Lyra?" Lyra froze. "Mom?" She ran forward, tears filling her eyes. Inside the cage, her mother sat on the floor, tired and weak, but alive. She reached out through the energy field, her hand shaking. "My child." "You're safe," Lyra's mother whispered. Lyra fell to her knees, crying with relief. "I thought you were gone. I thought the shadows took you forever." Rylan quickly examined the energy cage, looking for a weak point. "We're getting you out. Just hold on." But before he could act, a loud metallic voice echoed through the chamber. "Human detected. Unauthorized presence." Rylan turned fast. A tall, heavily armored machine stood at the tunnel entrance. Its body was larger than the scout units, with multiple glowing red lenses and strong legs built for combat. And another machine stepped inside, and another soon. 5 war drones surrounded the chamber, blocking every exit. Lyra held onto her mother. "Captain, what do we do?" Rylan raised his weapon. "We fight." One machine scanned him. Human combat experience detected. Order: eliminate threat. Rylan aimed at the control panel near the cages and fired. Sparks flew. The energy fields flickered, weakening, but not breaking. The machines charged. Rylan rolled behind a stone pillar as the first drone fired a laser blast. The beam exploded against the wall, sending stone shards flying. He fired back, hitting a drone's leg. It stumbled. Another drone fired. Rylan ducked and moved to the side, using the shadows for cover. "Captain!" Lyra cried. "There are too many." Rylan shouted back. "Humans are not strong because of numbers. Humans are strong because we don't give up." A drone leapt toward him. Rylan grabbed a fallen metal pipe from the ground and hit the drone's joint. It cracked, sparks bursting out. The drone tried to grab him, but Rylan ducked under it and fired into its core. It collapsed. Another drone attacked from behind. Rylan felt the heat of its laser flash by his face. He jumped behind a cage, using the energy field to block the shot. The beam hit the cage instead, weakening the field even more. Rylan got an idea. "Lyra, when I say run, take your mother and move out of the cage." "But the field, it's weak. One more hit should break it. Trust me." Another drone advanced. Rylan shot at it to draw its attention, then ran toward the center of the chamber. The drone followed him. He dodged its attack and positioned himself so the drone faced the cages. "Come on." "Shoot me," Rylan growled. The drone fired, Rylan jumped aside. The laser hit the energy cage, cracking the entire field. "Now, Lyra!" Rylan shouted. Lyra reached through the flickering field and pulled her mother out. Just as the cage collapsed, the villagers inside the other cages saw this and began pushing against their own weakening fields. Drones realized what was happening. Warning: prisoners escaping. Human interference detected. 2 drones charged toward the villagers. Rylan ran to stop them. Not today. He fired again and again, forcing the drones to turn toward him. Laser beams fired past him, but he didn't stop moving. He slid across the ground, fired into a drone's leg, and hit another drone with a metal crate. The villagers escaped their cages one by one. Lyra held her mother tightly. "Captain, hurry." Rylan knew they had to escape now. He grabbed a fallen energy cell from one of the destroyed drones and threw it at the tunnel ceiling. "Everyone down!" He yelled. The energy cell exploded, collapsing the tunnel entrance behind the drones. Rocks fell everywhere, blocking the machines inside the chamber. Dust filled the air. Silence followed. Rylan coughed, catching his breath. "We need to move. More machines will come soon." Lyra's mother looked at him with deep gratitude. "Human, you saved us all." Rylan shook his head. "Not yet. We need to reach the surface. Then we end this." He looked at Lyra, who wiped her tears and stood tall. "I'm ready," she said. And for the first time, Rylan saw something new in her eyes, not fear, but courage, a small spark of humanity. Rylan led the survivors through the narrow tunnels, moving fast. Dust still floated in the air from the explosion he had caused. Behind them, the sound of metal claws scraping rock echoed again and again. The machines were not trapped forever. They were digging their way out. "We have to keep moving," Rylan said. "When they break through, they will follow us." Lyra held her mother's hand and stayed close to Rylan. The villagers moved quickly, whispering prayers in their soft alien language. Every shadow in the tunnels felt dangerous now. Soon, a faint light appeared ahead the exit. "We're close," Rylan said. But when they stepped outside, the sight waiting for them made everyone freeze. Above the forest, a giant machine towered like a metal mountain. Its legs were thick, its armor covered in glowing symbols from the old war. Dozens of red eyes blinked along its body. A war titan, a machine built long ago to destroy entire cities. Lyra whispered, "Captain, how do we fight something like that?" Rylan stared at the giant machine. Fear tried to rise in him, but he pushed it down. He could not show fear, not now. "Humans don't win because we're the strongest," he said quietly. "We win because we try when everyone else gives up." The war titan scanned the forest and spoke in a loud, cold voice. "Unauthorized life detected. Begin elimination." Smaller drones poured out from the titan's legs, dozens of them racing toward the villagers. The people screamed and backed away. Rylan raised his weapon. He fired again and again, hitting drone after drone. But there were too many. They kept coming. Lyra's mother shouted, "We will die if we stay here." Rylan looked around, thinking fast. His eyes landed on something above the titan, a cluster of glowing blue crystals hanging from a tall cliff. They were unstable energy crystals. One good shot could make them explode. If the crystals fell, they could destroy the titan. "Everyone, move toward the cliff." Rylan yelled. The villagers obeyed, running as fast as they could. The drones chased them. Rylan stayed behind, firing to slow the machines. A drone leapt at him, but he knocked it away with the butt of his weapon. Another fired a laser that scorched the ground beside him. He kept running. They reached the cliff. The glowing crystals pulsed softly, full of energy. Lyra tugged Rylan's arm. "Captain, can you shoot them?" Rylan looked at the crystals. then at the Titan marching toward them. It's risky. The explosion could hit us too. Lyra's mother stepped forward. Better to take the risk than die slowly. Rylan nodded. She was right. He turned to Lyra. Stay low. Hold your mother tight. Lyra shook with fear, but she obeyed. Rylan climbed a rock and aimed at the crystals high above Dot. The drones surrounded him now. One fired and hit his shoulder. He winced but didn't stop aiming. Another laser grazed his side. His weapon shook in his hand, his body burning with pain. But he kept aiming. He whispered to himself, for her. For all of them. He fired. The shot hit the crystal cluster. For a moment, everything went silent. Then a blinding explosion lit the entire sky. The crystals blew apart, sending a wave of blue energy across the land. The cliff cracked. The ground shook. The war titan let out a distorted roar as the blast hit its armor. Its legs buckled. Its red eyes flickered violently. Then it collapsed, falling like a giant metal tree, shaking the entire forest with its crash. The drones surrounding Rylan dropped instantly. Their power cores, overloaded by the shockwave. Silence spread across the land. The machines were finally still. Rylan fell to one knee, breathing hard. His clothes were torn, his shoulder burned, and dust covered his face. But he was alive. Lyra ran to him with wide eyes. Captain. Captain, are you okay? Rylan gave a weak smile. I've had worse days. Her mother bowed her head. Human, today you saved not only us. You saved our future. The surviving villagers gathered around him. Many placed their hands over their hearts in a gesture of respect. One elder spoke softly. Our stories say humans are small but powerful. Today, you proved the story true. Lyra hugged Rylan tightly. You didn't just save us. You saved my hope. Rylan felt something warm inside him, a feeling he had not felt in many years. Purpose. He stood slowly and looked out across the forest. Smoke rose from the fallen Titan. The night sky glowed faintly with crystal dust. It's over, Lyra whispered. Rylan shook his head gently. Not yet. There may be more machines underground. We need to call a human rescue team and secure this land. And will you leave after that? Lyra asked quietly. Rylan looked at her with a soft smile. Not until I make sure your people are safe. Humans don't run from responsibility. Lyra's mother touched Rylan's arm. Then stay with us a little longer, Captain. You have a home here now. Rylan looked at the villagers, tired, injured, but alive. And brave. He nodded. All right, he said. Let's rebuild, together. Above them, the night sky slowly cleared, revealing bright stars. Stars filled with hope. And humanity's light burned brighter than all of them.